Let's talk about flying and social media. Hi, I'm Captain Paul, a former Navy pilot and airline captain. And this channel is here to help nervous flyers feel calmer and more comfortable and in control. If your only view of flying comes from the news and social media, it can feel like airplanes are in trouble all the time. Every scroll seems to bring another clip of a crash, emergency landing, or passenger meltdown, people acting crazy while flying. Today, let's slow that down a bit and talk about how social media can quietly crank up your anxiety about flying and what the reality actually looks like. Consider how social media amplifies your fear. Most platforms reward the most dramatic content. Creators are chasing views, likes, and shares. So the wildest aviation clips rise to the top of your feed. Any kind of routine, uneventful flight is never going to get viral. But a rare accident or a bumpy landing, filmed from row 23, gets replayed millions and millions of times. Psychologically, your brain doesn't count incidents. It counts impressions. If you see the same dramatic video over and over again, it feels like events like that are happening constantly, even when the real world numbers are extremely small. So let's talk about what those clips really leave out. Most of these videos are short, emotional snapshots with no proper context and no aviation expertise in the narration, most of the time. You rarely hear about what led up to the event, what safety systems were working in the background, or how the crew was trained to handle it. You just see fear, shaky footage, some screaming every now and then, and big headlines. That feeds into pessimism and doubt. Is it really safe? Are these things really happening every day in the air? Should I even get on my next flight? It's time for a quick reality check. Here's the part social media usually leaves out. Worldwide, there are tens of millions of commercial airline flights every year, and accidents remain extremely rare. One major study looking at recent decades found that the risk of dying in a commercial airline accident is roughly 1 in many millions of flights, and flying has become several times safer with each passing decade. I've flown for over 50 years. My closest calls have actually been in cars that I was driving. And anyway, in other words, what you see online is the exception, not the rule. The everyday realities of thousands of flights taking off and landing safely over and over, that never makes the news. Okay, your role as a viewer, as a passenger, as a normal person scrolling any kind of feed, you do have a choice. You can join the rhythm of bad news, clicking every crash clip and near miss headline, or you can decide to step back and look for calm, factual explanations instead. Here's a simple tip. Before a trip, limit how much time you spend watching dramatic aviation videos. Replace that time with some explanations from qualified pilots and educators, people who know something about aviation, who can walk you through what is actually happening on the flight deck and in the air. Over time, your brain will start to pair flying with understanding instead of catastrophe. The bigger picture of safety will look everybody involved in commercial aviation, pilots, air traffic controllers, the maintenance people, engineers, cabin crews, regulators. Everybody has a huge personal and professional stake in getting you safely to and from your destination, point A to point B, with no problems. The systems, training, and layers of backup in modern airliners are designed so that even when something goes wrong, there are multiple ways to keep you safe and bring the airplane back to the ground. So if you are feeling uneasy because of something you saw online, just remember, emotional coverage is not the same as actual risk. Here's something to think about. Flying is safe, but if you're still a little bit apprehensive, you don't have to figure this out all alone. I've made a free resource for you called the Nervous Flyer Survival Guide. It gives you simple, practical steps you can use before and during a flight to feel more prepared and more in control. Just click the link in the description below this video to get your free copy. Thanks for watching. This is Captain Paul wishing you a calm skies, confident flying, and a safe flight on your next trip.